Good morning, students. Today we are going to deal about the topic reproduction in organism. This topic belongs to class 12 biology. This one is the first chapter, and today we are going to some topics of the first chapter. Now, first definition. Let's us deal about definition. What is the definition of reproduction? Reproduction, it means reproduction. It means just similar copies are production. That is known as reproduction. Similarly, technically we can say. But if different organisms have the different capacity to production of similar organism, later on we deal about that. So process by which an organism produce similar type of organism, that is known as reproduction. Why reproduction is important? Now next point is why reproduction is important. It is important for maintain the continuity of life. If no life, no further life, there is no further species. So to maintain the continuity of life, continuity of species, you have to remember. Next, to maintain the life on earth, this is the second important feature of the reproduction, and third important feature is the creation of the variation. If variation is not created, then the species cannot survive for a long. So we have to create variation, and sexual reproduction is the only means by we can create variation. Now, what is the life cycle? Simple term. As we know, organisms start from the birth and end from the death. So from birth to death, the whole process is known as life cycle. It is known as life cycle. Next topic is very important, that is known as lifespan. And lifespan is very important process, very important word for the examination purpose. 1 mark question arise from here. You have to remember there is no relation of body size. Body size is not related with the lifespan. For example, mayfly, you can see this one is 1 day, man for 100 years, but technically we can say 60 years are also there. Banyan tree for 200 years. Parrot for 140 years. You have to remember, parrot for 140 years. Then butterfly for 1 to 2 weeks is there. So these are the few examples we can elaborate. We can show that lifespan is not related with the complexity of the life. Lifespan is not related with the size of the body size. Clear? Next, type of the reproduction. As we go further, we have to learn about the type of reproduction. Now, what are the means? What are the type by which reproduction can be takes place? So, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, it means involvement of the single parent. Only one parent is involved. So there is no mixing of genes. There is no mixing of DNAs there. That's why asexual reproduction does not lead to variation. It is the characteristic features of the lower organism. It is the characteristic feature of lower organism. Mitotic division is takes place. As we already discussed mitotic division, meiotic division in the previous class. For example, in 11th class, as we studied, mitotic division is known as equational division and meiotic division is known as reductional division. So there is a basic differences there. If number of organism or number of cells increase, we have to follow mitotic division. And if we form the gametes, if the gamete to be formed, then we have to follow the meiotic division. Now, in terms of the sexual reproduction, as already written, as in we know, the sexual reproduction involves two parents. It is one parent is known as male, other known as female. The requirement of two parents is known as sexual reproduction. Now, some more details about the reproduction is there. So, we classify sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Now, one thing we have to remember about the sexual reproduction is that is known as clone. Normally, these questions arise in the board classes. What is clone? Clone is the similar copy of parents. Exactly similar copy in a phenotype, that is physical appearance, and the genetic appearance, that is known as genotype. So clone is produced by means of the asexual reproduction. Clone can be produced only by the asexual reproduction because sexual reproduction needs two parents, and two parents are from male and female. So combination of the gametes takes place. That's why it leads to variation. Now, Asexual reproductions are few. There is a few examples of the asexual reproduction. What are the variation types? The first one is the fusion. Fission, you can see fission means it is just breakage. Fission means division. Fission means single cells divide. Of divides, it means there is a possibilities of division, that is 2 or more than 2. When more than 2 division takes place, it is called multiple fission. And when fission takes place by two type organism form, so it is called binary fission. Now, example of the binary fission you have to remember as amoeba. For example, amoeba, in terms of the amoeba, here you can see this one is the amoeba. It divides by means of such type of reactions and such type of process, and two daughter amoeba form. So two daughter amoeba are just similar to their parents. So these are the clone. Now, division by means of the parallel, so it is called binary fission. In terms of the multiple fission, for example, in case of the plasmodium, there is multiple fissions formed. Such type of division is known as multiple fission. Now, next process is known as budding. What is the meaning of the budding? Budding is the simple outgrowth. For example, in terms of the yeast, this one is the yeast. So, how budding takes place? Budding takes place by means of forming an outgrowth from here. This one is known as bud. This is called bud. Now, after few times it enlarges in the size. So, this one is known as larger bud. Now, it detaches from the parents and form two individuals, a parent and new one. So, this is the process is known as budding. You have to remember the example yeast. Yeast means you have to remember the scientific name of the yeast, that is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Next, specialized structures. You have to remember also these, that is zoospore, specialized structure. Now, the term spores means circular structures. When this circular structure or spherical structures bear some thread-like structure that help it in the movement, then it is called zoo. Zoo, as you know, zoology, it is related with the motile structure. If spore are motile, then it is called zoospore. You have to remember the example that is known as fungi and algae. Now, conidia. In case of the penicillium, in case of the fungi, it is also penicillium, it is also a fungi. In case of the penicillium, you can see such type of structures are formed. These are known as conidia. So conidia are the structures. These are the specialized structures, and you can find in the penicillium, which is a type of fungi. Next, gemmules. You have to remember these structures also. It is endogenous structure. Endogenously, it means produced inside, and such type of structure is like this. This one is the gemmules. It is also a reproductive structure. It is found in the sponges. You have to remember this gemmules because it is very important for the terms for medical examination, because many questions arise from the gemmules points. Now, fragmentation. It means organism. For example, C star. For example, this is known as C star. This one is C star. Now, if arm is fragmented, then again this arm is formed. If this arm is fragmented, detached, breakage by means of any calamity, again this arms form. So this is the type of reproduction in the lower organism. Now, regeneration. Regeneration means again generation. So regeneration process, you can see, for example, in case of the planaria, if we draw the structure of the planaria, this one is known as planaria, somehow looks like a planaria. And if it is cut by means of any type of fragmentation, any type of cutting, so this structure can produce new organism. This structure can produce new organism. This structure can produce new organism. It means from one organism we can produce three type of organism. This is the capacity of the lower organism, that is known as regeneration. Now, students, we have to remember this is also because in the plants vegetative reproduction also takes place. Vegetative reproduction by means of different type of structure, by means of the root, by means of the stems, by means of the leaves. These are the structures by which we can vegetatively propagate plants. It is very useful in the nursery. Now, sexual reproduction. So this all about the sexual reproduction. Now, sexual reproductions takes place in plants as well as animals. Due to the sexual reproduction, variation are created. Now, variation created, it means survival of the species, survival of the organism is more in earth. So in case of the plants we can see two structures are there, that is known as male structures and female structures. Now both male and female structures are commonly present in the flower. So such type of flower which bears both male and female structure, it is known as bisexual. It is known as bisexual flower. Clear? Now, in case of the animal, we can see this is known as animal, and in case of the animal, we can see male and females are there. So, dear students, we learn generalized supervised structures. A supervised structure, that is the type of reproduction, then lifespan, life cycle, and asexual reproduction by means of, for example, if you revise fission, binary fission is there, then multiple fission is there, then for example spirogyra, fragmentation is there, then regeneration, planaries are there. So this one all about the chapter number 1. In the next class we deal about the chapter number 2. Thank you.